Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome. In this part of the DVD, we are going to look at health and safety in the workplace. What is health and safety? Health and safety is about making the workplace safe for people who work there, so that they do not have to do work that could injure them or make them sick. If you get injured or sick at work, you will not be able to do your work properly, or you may not be able to work at all. So, it is important that you understand and follow the health and safety rules of the workplace. The Occupational Health and Safety Act is the law that protects workers and employers in health and safety matters in the workplace. The law says that the employer is responsible for the health and safety of all the workers in the workplace. Workers must be told about the possible dangers on the farm or in the pack house. Workers must receive training in health and safety. Your employer must give you protective clothing if you need this for the work you do. For example, when you work with chemicals. But remember, your employer does not have to give you ordinary work clothes like overalls and shoes. Workers must know the health and safety rules and follow these rules. There must be people in the workplace who are trained to help with health and safety. Let's have a look at who these people are. Firstly, if there are more than 20 workers in the workplace, there must be a health and safety representative. These representatives are the link between management and the workers. If there is an accident, the health and safety representative must know about it. They must investigate the accident and report to management. The health and safety representatives also do inspections to make sure the workplace is safe. If there is something that workers think is unsafe, they must report it to the health and safety representative. These representatives sit on the Health and Safety Committee, and this committee meets to discuss health and safety issues in the workplace. To make it easier to see who your health and safety representatives are, look for this poster in the workplace. There are workers who are trained in first aid. They are called first aiders. If you get injured in the workplace, the first aider will help you. To make it easier to see who your first aiders are, look for this poster in the workplace. It is the employer's responsibility to make the workplace as safe as possible for everyone that works there. You as worker are also responsible. You must know who your health and safety representative is, know who your first aider is, know the health and safety rules and follow them. If you get injured at work, you must report your injury before the end of your shift. The law says you must report the injury on the same day that it happened. If you see something dangerous in the workplace that can cause injury to you or other workers, it is your responsibility to report it. It is important that you pay attention to the following when you are working. There are many vehicles like tractors, forklifts, bakkies and trucks that move around in the workplace. And every year there are reports of accidents caused by these vehicles. Everyone should be very careful in places where tractors and other vehicles are used on the farm or in the pack house. If you see someone driving a vehicle too fast or in a dangerous way, it is your responsibility to report it. It is important that workers don't use machinery unless they are trained to use it. Fruit trees are sprayed with chemicals to protect them from disease and pests. Chemicals are poisonous, so it is important to protect yourself if you work with them. The law says that only workers who are trained in the use of chemicals are allowed to work with them. If you work with chemicals, you must wear protective clothing. The employer needs to make sure that workers who work with chemicals stay healthy. To do this, blood tests are taken and looked at by the doctor. This is a necessary part of the job, and if you work with chemicals, your employer can insist that you take this blood test. If you refuse to do so, your employer might not let you carry on working. Workers should be told when spraying is going to take place so that they can make sure they do not go close to those areas being sprayed. If you live on the farm, you must make sure that the windows and doors of your house or your hostel are closed while spraying is taking place. Workers must not breathe in spray or let the spray get onto clothing, smoke or eat close to where spraying is taking place. Go into the orchards when they are being sprayed. There should be signs to tell people when spraying is taking place and when they are not allowed to enter the orchards. Sometimes there are different colored flags or bags that are displayed to tell workers if they can enter or not. Spray carts attached to a tractor are used to spray the orchards or the vineyards. Spray carts have got poisonous chemicals in them, and if children play on them, they may come into contact with the poison and get very sick. Children must not be allowed to play close to or climb onto spray carts. If chemical spray gets into your eyes or on your body, you must report it immediately to your supervisor so that you can be treated. On some farms, workers are transported to the orchards, vineyards, or fields. In the season, there are a lot of tractors driving around the farm. Workers must look out for tractors in the orchards and not get in the way of moving tractors. For example, you can get injured if you climb onto a moving tractor, climb off a moving tractor, stand next to the tractor driver while they are driving the tractor. Watch out for your feet when you are loading fruit into the bins. The law says that the farm must provide clean drinking water, toilets, toilet paper, water and soap for workers who are picking fruit in the orchards. It is your responsibility to use the toilets provided and to wash your hands after you have been to the toilet. Ladders are used a lot on farms for picking fruit and for pruning trees. It is important then that ladders are kept in a good condition so that they don't collapse or break when they are being used in the orchard. You must make sure that the ladder is stable and firmly secured in the ground before you climb on it. You can get badly injured if you fall off a ladder, so don't use a ladder if it is broken, and report broken or damaged ladders to your supervisor. You must make sure that you pick heavy crates or boxes up carefully. Picking things up in the wrong way can cause damage to the muscles in your back. If you get injured in this way, you may not be able to work. Let's have a look at the right way to lift heavy objects. Place your feet correctly. Keep your back straight. Keep the load close to your body when you lift it. In the summer, it can get very hot working in the orchards or in the fields. The workplace must provide enough drinking water for the workers. It is your responsibility to make sure you drink a lot of water when it is hot and that you wear a hat to protect you from the sun. After the fruit has been picked, it is taken to the pack house. At the pack house, the fruit is washed, sorted, and packed into boxes, ready to be sold. Every pack house has rules that all workers must follow. Let's have a look at the general rules. Machinery is used for sorting and packing of fruit. You must not use machinery unless you are trained and authorized to operate it. You must be careful of moving parts of machinery, such as conveyor belts. Workers are not allowed to wear jewelry or loose clothing because it can get caught up in the machines and cause serious injury. Any machines that are not working properly and any accident or injury must be reported immediately. Forklifts are used in the pack house to stack pallets, boxes of fruit, and packaging. You need to be careful in areas where forklifts are driven. Forklifts must not be used as ladders to get to things that are out of reach. Only trained forklift operators are allowed to use forklifts. Always be careful in the pack house and watch out for wet floors and when you climb stairs. Stay away from areas in the pack house where you are not supposed to be, where chemicals are stored, and cold storage spaces. All workers must receive training in emergency procedures so that you know what to do and where to go in the case of an emergency in the pack house, such as a fire. All workers must know about the emergency procedure. Know where the meeting or assembly point is when there is an emergency. Know where the exits from the pack house are. Remember, if there is an emergency, it is important to stay calm and walk to the assembly point. If people start screaming and running, they can injure themselves and other workers. We have seen that every workplace has areas that can be dangerous for people working and living there. Let's have a look at some of these places. Chemicals are stored in special containers and in locked storage rooms. Only people trained in the safe handling of chemicals can enter chemical storage rooms. These workers must wear protective clothing. Places where chemicals are stored must have signage to warn workers of the dangers, and all workers must know what these signs mean. Chemical containers must never be reused. For example, you cannot store water or food in old chemical containers or use these containers as rubbish bins. Children must not be allowed to play near places where empty chemical containers are stored. Some of the chemicals stay in the container even if the container is rinsed, and this can make people very sick or even lead to death. Electricity is dangerous, and if you touch open electrical wires, you can be electrocuted. Electrical wiring must be properly covered. If there is open wiring, it must be reported to the health and safety representative or supervisor. Places where there are dangerous electrical appliances or fittings, for example, DB boards, and pump houses, there must be hazard signs to warn workers of the danger. All workers need to understand these signs. Every year, we hear of stories of children drowning in dams. Children must not be allowed to play near dams. There must be signs at all the dams warning people not to swim there. Most workplaces have diesel tanks that are highly flammable. No one is allowed to work with fire, light matches, or smoke near these tanks. There must be warning signs at these tanks. There is always a danger of fire in the workplace, especially where chemicals are stored, where there is electrical wiring, diesel tanks, and any enclosed spaces such as houses, crashes, and hostels, where there are cooking stoves and electricity. There must always be firefighting equipment such as a fire hose or a fire extinguisher nearby in case of a fire. Everyone in the workplace must be aware of the dangers of fire and be careful not to do things that may cause a fire. Don't light matches near any flammable substances like diesel or petrol. Switch off electrical appliances when they are not being used. For example, cooking plates. Don't tamper with electrical wiring. For example, using one power point for a lot of appliances. Workers must know where the firefighting equipment is and know what to do if there is a fire. We have looked at what the law says about health and safety in the workplace. Let's look at what your responsibility as a worker on the farm or in the pack house is. There are signs in the workplace to warn people about danger. These are called hazard signs, and all workers must know what these signs mean. Let's have another look at some of these important signs. Danger. Electricity. Poison. No swimming. Flammable. Forklift. Dangerous machinery. No entry. Make sure you know who your health and safety representatives and first aiders are. You need to know where to go if you get injured and report any injury on the same day. Report any health and safety problems that affect you or other workers to the health and safety representative. It is your responsibility to follow the health and safety rules in the workplace. You have the right to protective clothing if you need it for the work you do. It is your responsibility to wear protective clothing when it is necessary and to look after it and any equipment that is given to you. Help other workers when they are not sure what to do or if they have injured themselves. Report any accidents or injuries or any equipment that is not working properly. Although management is responsible for health and safety in the workplace, it is also your responsibility to look after your health. Let's look at some examples. Pregnant women must tell the supervisor or manager as soon as possible to make sure that the work they do does not harm them or the unborn baby. You cannot work if you have been drinking alcohol or taking drugs like dacha or tik. There is a good chance that you will injure yourself or other workers if you are drunk or under the influence of drugs, and you can also lose your job. When training is offered in the workplace, it is important that all workers, men, women, permanent and seasonal workers, have the chance to attend. Improving your skills will help you in your work or to get a better job. Make sure that your children are well cared for while you're working. Find out if there is a creche in the workplace where your children can be cared for. If you live on the farm, it is your employer's responsibility to see that your accommodation is safe to live in. For example, your living space must have windows that can open, a roof that does not leak, toilet and washing facilities, safe electrical wiring if there is electricity available, and firefighting equipment. It is your responsibility to look after your living space. For example, you must keep your living space clean. Fires must only be made in places that have been set aside for making fires. Don't tamper with electrical wiring. For example, use one power point for a lot of appliances. Electrical wires must not lie on the ground. Children may play with them and get electrocuted. Make sure that the cooking area is safe and that appliances are switched off after they have been used. You may not cook in the same area that you sleep. Cooking pots on the stove must be out of reach of young children. Report open drains, broken pipes, blocked toilets, open electrical wiring so that they can be fixed. Remember, it is everyone's responsibility to make sure the workplace is a safe and healthy place to work and live. This brings us to the end of our module about health and safety. In the next part of this DVD, we are going to look at hygiene and how important it is for you and the workplace.